Hi, I'm Vicki and I'm going to show you today how to make a cat toy like this, a stuffed one. This is one of my cat's favorite toys. They love grabbing these things and they grab them with their teeth and they start thumping on them. And they're also these long tails. They love jumping from that thing, and since it's long, it keeps your hands away from those sharp claws. So to get started here, you want to use probably like a cotton fabric that's non-stretchy. And I happen to have a couple scraps here from a dress that I made, and I ironed them out nice and smooth. And we're going to cut a kind of a teardrop shape about 10 inches long. And give yourself an inch or two at the bottom, because if you make it really narrow, it's going to be hard to stuff. So cut at the bottom, give yourself a straight stitch there. Find my trash can. And start at the bottom. Work your way up. Cut out your oval. You want it to be maybe about 4 inches wide. You can adjust it as you cut it, just kind of free-handed here. And taper it down towards the bottom there. Okay, get rid of your scraps. Something like that, but I'm going to taper the other side so it matches this one. So this side's not very tapered, so they both are pretty consistent. Now this one's going to be probably kind of narrow. You can make them fatter. And as you make them, you'll figure out the do's and don'ts of these things, what you like and don't like. Because when you stuff these, they can be kind of a pain. But there you have a teardrop shape. That's probably about 10-12 inches long. Then you might want to consider the print on the fabric as to how you cut it out. But not that the cats care, but it's kind of cool if you're going to have it hanging around your house. And then I go and I cut the top of it off about an inch or two, like that. Cut the top off. Don't throw that away, you're going to use it. And I use leather because I have leather scraps. And it's kind of sturdy. The cats can chew at it and whatnot, but most people don't have leather scraps, so just use the fabric that you already have, something that might be a little bit thicker or a bright color. And then I kind of fold them in half. I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to make ears for this thing. Make them about 1.5 inches wide. Now I have this folded over. That's folded in half. And I'm going to cut it right down the middle, fold it in half again so you get a middle point. Fold it in half again. Now I'm going to take and cut a fat point here, curve it out. So you've got a tip like that, that's going to be the tip of your ears. Then take your bottoms, the fold area, and you want to cut these at kind of a curve like you would for a triangle bathing suit top. See, like that? You see? Curve. Okay. Now throw away my scraps and I'm ready to sew these up. You want to sew these up first with the outsides in, but don't sew the curved part. You're just going to sew the point. Put your sewing machine on straight stitch and lock them in good, because you're going to be turning these things inside out. Oops, I have my machine still on, darn. Lock them in. Get close to the edge. Go around the other side. Back stitch to lock in your stitch there. And do your other one. Right sides together. Lock it in here, back stitch. You don't want to make these too small now, because you want to be able to give the cat something to grab onto. They just love these things. I had a litter of kitties that I made a whole bunch of these for each one of them that went to their new home with them. And when the families came to adopt them, they were like, "Where did you get this? I'm going to have to get one." And I said, "You don't have to. I made them, and I'm giving you one to take home with you." So your kitty has something familiar in their new home, and they all loved it. So, okay. And I just kind of cut the tips so that when you turn it inside out, which is what I'm doing now, I'm going to turn these inside out. You don't have such a point to it to turn inside out. And then take maybe a pencil or something that's not super sharp, but it's got a little bit of point to it, and kind of push that point out a little bit so you get the tip of your ears pushed out. You can see that. Okay, get both of them done like that. Okay, I've got them both. Now I'm going to take my fabric pieces, the top half that I cut in half there, like that, and I'm going to take the right side of the fabric and sew this ear on. Now kind of lay them out if you need to figure out where you're going to have them. You want them positioned right center, side by side of each other. You can see that. And stitch them on. Make sure that curve, start at the curve and turn your ear as you sew with it. Maybe lock your stitch in if you need to, back it up there, and turn your ear as you go so that you get that curve at the edge of your fabric. That's going to give you the curve on the ear whenever you turn it inside out. Otherwise, if you didn't do that, your ears would be straight on and they would not look like ears. They would look kind of funky looking. Add your other ear, back it up a little bit so you lock that stitch in, so it doesn't pull out. You don't want your kitty to pull the ear out and say, hey, what the heck? So, stitch that on, cut your threads, and you can see I've got a piece here with two little ears sticking out. Okay, now you're going to add your top piece back on. This is the little half moon, and you're going to put your flat ends together. Okay, you're going to just reattach it, reattach the head on your little toy here. Line the sides up and lock in your stitch really good. Back it up, close to the edge as possible. And if you do use leather and you're not used to sewing with it, well, if you have leather, you probably are used to it, but it's a little harder for your needle to go through, but I have a Bernina sewing machine. It goes from leather to lace and no problem at all. So make sure you've got both sides. You didn't skip anything. There's no holes anywhere. You've got it just like that. See the ears? Can you see that? Your ears back on there? Okay. Now you're going to reattach the head right sides out. Okay. Now, because you cut a little bit and put the ears, your ends are not going to be quite lined up, but that's okay. Cats won't know that. Okay. And it's probably a good idea to pin. I'm always telling everybody pin your fabrics so that way you don't have your fabric sliding. I used to go for years, I didn't pin anything, thought I can hold in place, and then I started wondering why one end always came out. I thought it was a phenomenon. One end always came out, the bottom always was longer than the top one. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And it's because you don't pin your fabrics. So with that pinned, oops, maybe do your pin vertically so that way you're not running over it. You never want to run over your pins. Lock your needle, your stitch in really good here at the bottom because you're going to be turning that inside out. So, and to stuff it. Go along your edge, maybe 1/8 of an inch. Make sure you don't have any holes. This is going to be a tight stuff once you get it stuffed in here. Maybe back over that extra seam area there on the head. Go all the way around the curve. And I tuck my seam back in so it's all going in the same direction. Whenever you sew it, back around. Back your stitch up. And you're done with the sewing part for now. Pull your pins out. And you're going to want it, it's going to look like that. See? And you're going to want to turn it inside out now. Now I usually have like a fat paintbrush or something, the wide tip that I use for turning things like this inside out. If you've got something that works really good that doesn't stay in there because you want to be able to pull that out when you get done, stuff it back. It's easier to pull from the bottom to turn it right side out. If you have noticed, my cat hopped up here on my sewing machine. She sees it and she wants to play. Hey, Ginseng. Okay, you say hi to the camera. Well, she's just going to get where she can see it. You guys can see her. Okay, and it looks like this. Pretty cool, huh? Now you're going to stuff it. I don't have enough polyfill with me today to stuff it completely, but I'm going to show you how to do it. I start out with little pieces like this and use that fat brush or something else fat that's going to get it going. That's why it's kind of easy to, it's probably better to have a wider stitch at the bottom so it's easier to stuff, because it can be a pain if you're trying to put stuffing in a little bitty hole like this. And if you get frustrated like I do and I don't want to waste the time on it, you can cut it a little bit more. So, because you're going to be turning that back in tucking it into whenever you stitch the tail on. But remember that it's going to pull apart a little bit whenever you do that, because I didn't lock in my stitch and it's easier to pull apart like that. So just start stuffing in a little bit here and there. I curve the outside in, curve the outside of the fabric back in, and start stuffing your fabric in with your brush or whatever you've got. Just start pushing it in there. Push it in, feeding it in. Feed it in with your fingers, whatever you got to do. Feed it in. And then push it all the way to the head. Stuff it down in there. Stuff it, stuff it, stuff it, stuff it, stuff it, stuff it, stuff it. Okay, and do that some more. Just keep stuffing this thing until it's full, all the way full and tight, because these cats, they're hunters by nature. It's their instinct to hunt. And they like to grab these things and pretend they've killed something, and they drag it around their house. Even my little kitties that I had, they would grab these big things and thought that they just conquered the world here, dragging this big old thing that was bigger than them around the house. And they would just have a ball playing with them. So keep stuffing it till it's nice and firm, like a ball almost, you know. And stuff it till you get all the way to the tail. This can be tedious, like I said, but it's worth it. Keep stuffing it in here. Keep going all the way. Okay. And then, after you've got it totally stuffed, I'm going to skip ahead here now. I have leather scraps, but you don't have to have leather scraps. You can use whatever kind of fabric you want. You can do spiral, you can take yarn and put a bunch of strands of yarn together and braid it. Just something that the cats love. Actually, that was where I cut my ears out. This, I just had a long piece that I just cut a strip out of. And this is where you're going to insert it. Once you have it stuffed, you're going to turn your ends inside of your toy here. Once it's fully stuffed, turn your ends in so you don't have any edges, raw edges out. It'll cooperate. Then you stuff your tail on the inside of the end and stitch it closed. If you can see that, stitch it closed. Do it several times. If you want to pucker your fabric up, gather it so it comes more to a point, do that. And then when you're done, where's my finished one at? Oh, right here in my lap. This is what it looks like when you're done. This is one that my cats play with all the time. And I also have catnip spray that I like to spray on them. If you spray it, give it a little squirt. You buy this on Amazon or Walmart. Give it a good spray. And then I give it to my kitties. See how she likes it. Ooh, she's like, what is that stuff? And you're done. Like that? Say hi to the camera. Say hi. Bye. Hope you enjoy the video.